New York City with the big man right here, Jake Hager, ahead of Bellator 231. You probably know him a little bit better as Jack Swagger back in the day. Yeah. He's Jake Hager today on AEW Wrestling and making a little bit of noise on the MMA side. Great getting a chance to sit down and talk to you. You're in the midst of this transition, of this crossover, because you're still doing big things in the big announcement when you walked in on AEW. We'll get into that. But in terms of MMA, we'll see you at Bellator 231 on Friday in Connecticut. How comfortable are you feeling right now, crossing over?
I'm getting more and more comfortable with every fight. The more experience, of course, you're going to feel more comfortable. But I think at this point, after training for 3.5 years for this, my shape has really come a long ways, and that is going to be the number one factor for my comfortability.
Now, you brought in a legitimate wrestling background at the University of Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
You've no shortage of size here at what they say for 6'8" he stood. But even Brock Lesnar, even going to the level of the UFC Heavyweight Championship, they said couldn't take a punch to the face.
Yeah.
You've been in a lot of fights in your day. You just bite down hard. Is it natural for you to get in here and mix this up?
I got a lot of stories about people punching me in the head and kicking me in the head from WWE, and they all end up with bruises on their shins from it, and my head is fine. So I think I have a secret weapon up there that's yet to be explored. But I can rely on my wrestling all I want, but until you start getting punched in the face, it changes everything, and it's something that really needs to be accounted for.
I'm going to see you Friday, Mohegan Sun, your third fight as a professional against Anthony Garrett, 4-2 record. You're coming in here 2-0.
2-0.
What kind of fight should we expect? What do you want to work on? What are you looking to show after 2 submission victories to open your run?
I'm torn. Everyone asks me, what do I want to show? Honestly, I don't want to showcase anything, because then you got film studies on me, see what I do and what I don't do. And so, the quicker the better for me, but at the same time, I want to get in there and, give these fans an exciting opportunity. Maybe I'll hang on to the hold too long. Maybe I won't. Maybe, we'll go a couple rounds and have some fun.
Do you like being a villain, being a heel in the MMA sense? It seems like you obviously have a natural gift in command in front of a camera, but is it a mindful thing where you're saying, you know what, to help build my name on the MMA side, I'm going to let that swagger out, if you will, play on words?
It may be a mindful thing for most, but I think when people are acting up there, it comes across as not genuine and it doesn't get the same reaction. All my life, I've been very good at what I do, and so I've been booed in more than one place, and so honestly, I've come to relish it and really enjoy the fact, and it just makes me stronger.
Bellator is a great home for what you're trying to do. Your fights are going to get a lot of attention, and they're known for their fun matchmaking in that regard. But at the same time, people are going to look at you with skeptical eyes, especially the hardcore MMA fan. You're 37 years old. Been a long time since you've even been in the amateur wrestling setup. Yep. Do you have this chip on your shoulder that you're trying so hard to prove yourself as legit? Is that something you're thinking about?
I can't go through life trying to prove to people that I've never met before. There's just no way to go through it. I understand that with my name, that I already have a target on myself, but it's also the name that got me here and gave me this opportunity. And so people can say what they want. Even if we go out there and dominate, they're still not going to be happy. So I'm just trying to bring attention to myself, to Bellator, to AEW, and really try to grow the sports that I love.
Not a bad time to be Jake Hager right now, between your burgeoning MMA career and your surprise reveal on episode 1 of AEW Dynamite, the rival company making headlines opposite NXT on Wednesday nights. We're really making headlines as a legitimate competitor to WWE as a whole. This was a surprise. We didn't know you were going to be there, revealed as sort of Chris Jericho's muscle, part of a larger faction, the Inner Circle. When did you know about that? How fired up were you? Because there's natural comparisons here to what maybe Hall and Nash did in NWO to make WCW a big thing 20-something years ago.
I was very fired up. If you look at AEW as a company and who's running it, everybody in their right mind would want to work for this company, especially the way that Tony Khan pays you. It's amazing. And so we've been teasing it all year. The plan was to get back into pro wrestling at some time and really capitalize on, this new character that I've developed in the MMA ring. And it just really worked out perfectly. And Chris Jericho is a friend of mine. He's a friend of Josh Rafferty's, and he, after the second fight, was really impressed and really started recruiting us. And dude, he's a rock star. He's all over the place. You don't say no to Chris Jericho.
How close had you guys been during your WWE run?
Yeah, very good friends. We had so many times that we had battled in the trenches, so many times where we gone out there and stole the show together, and then so many times where we've been in the back and I've had problems and I've had to go to Chris and rely on his wisdom and like, hey, can you help me out with this and give me a piece of advice? And anyone who knows Chris just knows what an incredible guy is, and he truly is the biggest weapon AEW has.
He's the inaugural AEW champion, cutting some hella promos already, and I think when AEW launched, for people that are WWE fans, but they're, I don't know, angry, annoyed, sort of like, hey, it used to be a certain way, we want something new. What are you hoping to deliver through AEW with your brethren in the locker room there that maybe people aren't getting these days with WWE?
You know what? I see a lot of young professionals backstage who are so happy to be a part of something and build towards it and grow an industry that they love since they were kids. And it's really cool. It just has a different feel about it from WWE. Even the crowd that night in DC, it felt different than a WWE crowd. And I think that's something that we really need to pay attention to and help grow. Me personally, I got goals through the roof right now, but I'm a patient guy, and just watch.
All right, tell me about the Jake Hager AEW character, because Jack Swagger under the WWE banner had been the All-American guy. You'd been the sort of heel pushing a little bit of a political angle there. Who's Jake Hager in AEW?
That's the great thing about pro wrestling is like you go away and you come back, and it's like a refresh of a character. And I think it's also very necessary in pro wrestling, especially if you're at that other place where they just drag everything through the dirt. So it's going to be a rebirth of sorts, but at the same time, you're really going to see Jake Hager get back to who he is and what he's done all his life. Everybody knows Jack Swagger as a pro wrestler, goofy smile, comes out, likes to be the bad guy. And that's why they're a little surprised when they see me get in the cage. Well, people who know Jake Hager aren't surprised at all. This is a natural extension for him. And I think you're only going to see more of that MMA style come forward in AEW.
It gets me excited as a pro wrestling fan. What's the difference in terms of freedom from being in the WWE where they get a label of a scripted system to what you've already experienced in AEW? Do you have carte blanche to come out and sort of be who you know you can be inside?
Yep. If you have confidence in what you have and what you want to deliver, they definitely give you that opportunity, and they treat you like a professional, like an adult, not like a junior high kid under their thumb. And so it's really nice to experience that change, and it's still very new. So we're going to have to get some structure in there at some point. But right now, I think Tony and the rest of the guys are doing a great job of managing the roster and really allowing them to be themselves and let that build them as a star. Don't force it down their throat, and just give them something natural that makes sense. I know that's something weird.
Well, it's refreshing. And in this inner circle faction that you're a part of, you don't hear the word faction anymore. You don't see multiple groups
only in the
these
NBA.
days. More than 3 guys, maybe at a most, which you can argue isn't a faction. It's just a group of guys. Mm-hmm. What do you want the inner circle to represent? To what kind of message in terms of what this could eventually become and fit in that larger historic run that we've had of great factions from the Four Horsemen to the NWO and beyond?
That's a great question. I think it's so exciting right now because we still don't know what exactly the inner circle is. It could be something like go this way, or we have the opportunity to go this way with it. It's really exciting, and I think the main thing that we need to do is listen to the fans and pay attention to what they're saying, and then of course do what Chris says.
Not a bad idea there. You left WWE for good in 2017, and that sort of created this spark and this MMA run that you're going, and you're keeping, obviously, wrestling big in the picture. When was the moment, though, when you knew it was over, when you knew you wanted it to be over?
I was in contract negotiations, and I really knew in the back of my head when I couldn't even get a sit down to talk with Vince or Hunter to talk about contracts. I've given these guys 12 years of my life, and I can't even get a little bit of FaceTime to talk about the next 5. It was really an awakening moment for me, and all the stuff about being afraid to leave that income and trying to provide for your family just went out the window, and just said, no, you have to do this now, and never been more sure about something, even though it was one of the scariest decisions of my life.
How much of the artist inside of you took over? Because we saw, Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley in AEW, who did the podcast circuit, started telling his story. It was sort of like, I'm the struggling artist deep inside who wasn't able to express myself in a way that I felt I can get the most out of myself. Do you have that similar experience?
No one's ever called me that before, an artist. I think more for me, it was just like, I knew what I was capable of, and this wasn't it. This was taking away, days with my kids. This is taking away so much of my life. I'm giving you my body, and if I don't have a say in that, why do it?
I'm with you on that. I would kick myself in the crotch if I didn't ask you this. One of your last runs in WWE, you and Zeb Coulter were starting this Mex America. Say it with me again, Mex America, because you're going to be hearing a lot about that. We didn't hear much more of that.
No. Dutch was doing that with Alberto, the whole Mex America. We were real Americans.
Yeah, but where was that storyline going? It just disappeared out of nowhere.
Nowhere. And you know what? And that was also one of those moments. I remember Dutch calling me the night before and say, hey, they have me coming out with Alberto. They're going to do this, this, and this. And I was just like, okay, You don't really, there's so many people that could top my story or have been in my situation before, so I really don't have too much to complain about. But that was one of my favorite moments. The Real Americans, Dutch and Tony, and working together as a tag team. It was really something special.
Yeah, you and Cesaro did great business. I'm still wearing the T-shirt with the handprint every once in a while there. I get a lot of pops around town when I put that thing on. Okay, people know what's going on there. This is a chapter that's closed. You have a moment? Do you have something you're most proud of? You mentioned that run you had with Cesaro there. Is there what pops you the most on the inside for what you accomplished?
Man, there's so many great people there that I worked with, and just a blessing to have those people in my life. And I'm still friends with so many of them. Anything with Christian was awesome for me. Anything with Rey Mysterio was great. The singles run we had with Rusev was very near and dear because overnight I turned from the bad guy into America's hero, which the vanity in me really liked. I thought I liked being a bad guy, but it turns out I like you cheering me more. So continue that. The biggest thing is like, you can stand up here and talk bad about a company all you want, but it's honestly like any other job. You're not going to like your bosses after you've been there for so long. And so I'm just thankful for the opportunity I have and the opportunity it's granted me now. I would not be here without them. So it's, I'll forgive you.
All right. How do you plan on juggling moving forward this very important role you're going to have on AEW moving forward, which is right in the middle of a war? Anyone on the AEW side, by the way, can act like this isn't. It's a war. People know it's a war. There's naturally going to be competition between what you're doing in MMA. We'll see you in Bellator 231 this Friday. How active do you want to be as an MMA fighter? How are you going to juggle both?
Yeah, so for the last 3 years, I've been doing independent wrestling, but my main focus and main energy has been training for MMA because I needed the most work there. And so now we're going to continue doing that as well. I think right now AEW is going to get a little bit more of time, but we're planning to fight 2 or 3 times in 2020. And we got some lofty goals that we want to accomplish with Bellator. And so we're going to keep working towards them. My biggest weapon between the second fight and this fight is I didn't stop. I didn't get out of camp. I was sparring every week. I was training hard. And so when I came into camp, I was already ready, and it's really going to show on Friday.
Let's talk a little bit more about you as a fighter here. Age isn't a problem when you're a heavyweight. It's sort of a division that's not much of a big deal. You don't have the mileage of some of these other guys in terms of damage accrued, although I respect what you're gone through physically in your pro wrestling run. What are your goals on the MMA side? Is it to have some fun televised fights and make a big deal, or are you thinking long term, hey, this Bellator Heavyweight Championship wouldn't be bad around my waist?
Me personally, more than any championship or any victories, the number one goal for me is to provide for my family. I got 2 kids, I got a beautiful wife, and I want to give them the world. I want to give them the opportunities I had that my parents provided for me. And so I'm kind of a hooker. I'm doing it for the money right now. But I definitely have that sickness in me where I want to be the best. I want to be called the best. So that's in there. We're just not getting ahead of ourselves.
Bobby Lashley, current WWE superstar, sure you know him well, had a little bit of run at the Bellator Heavyweight. Mm-hmm. What would that fight look like? This is a shoot brother, all right?
Yeah. Bobby is a great wrestler, big, strong guy. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was Division 1. I think he was Division 2, Division 3. So, 1, 3. I think I would be able to hold my own with any of those guys. Brock, Kane, Fedor even. I feel like I can get in there and I'll be able to...
Chael Sonnen, maybe?
You're going to have to pay me a lot of money to get in there with Chael Sonnen because I know what he's getting paid.
Absolutely. That's awesome. We're going to see you Friday night, Bellator 231, my backyard of Connecticut there against Anthony Garrett. We're going to fire it up to see you Wednesday nights on AEW Dynamite. I want to close with this. I mentioned a war. Is that in your head? Because you guys can say all you want. I don't care what WWE's doing on those other nights. It's about what we're doing. People start spreading TV ratings around the internet. People start doing things. You ready for battle here?
I'm definitely ready for battle, and I know the whole roster of AEW is ready for battle. And, whether it's a war or whether it's just competition, that makes everyone better. That makes everyone raise their game up. And, this sounds corny, but the fans are going to win. Because whether you got a chip on your shoulder or you're just out there to prove to yourself, the fans are going to win because of this. And we're giving them another choice, so let's just stick with that. But I guarantee you don't want to see me in the trenches.
I'd like to see you in there against Kenny Omega, John Moxley. Some fun business ahead potentially.
Ray Phoenix, Penta Zero.
Pac, we can do some good business there. Jake Hager, see him in the cage with Bellator. See him on AEW Dynamite. Just see him, all right? I'm still rock hard with emotion right here, your boy BC.
I thought that was a stop.
We out. I'm just happy to be here.